Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today I want to discuss a topic that is very popular in the personal finance world and YouTube. A lot of people blog about it and talk about this idea, but the concept is called financial freedom, also known as financial independence or early retirement. But today I want to discuss my journey to financial independence and also how you can achieve it as well. Financial freedom, financial independence, early retirement, these are all words for the same thing. Basically what it is that you have enough income from your investments coming in to meet your monthly living expenses. For example, you can say I have $4,500 of investment income coming in, income that I'm not actively working for. I'm not running my business, I'm not working for someone. These are from rental properties, from your stock portfolio, whatever investments you have. This is just monthly income coming in that once you meet your goals of financial freedom, this investment income will surpass all of your monthly expenses. So just like the rest of my videos, I like to break things down into steps. This is really a large overarching goal for your life. There's several steps or several different levels or stages that I like to call them that you really have to overcome to meet this goal. And the first one is really what I call the foundation or the principles, and that's just building good financial habits. The vast majority of the population does not even get past this phase, and that's just doing simple things like saving money, paying down your debts, investing, using your money wisely, right? So I like to think of it as no matter how much money you make, right? Even if you don't make a ton of money, try to save at least a set amount each month. I'll use myself as an example. Back when I was in college, we got a stipend of about $500 a month, and that's obviously not a lot of money, but I would always try to save $100 of that. I would find ways I had all of my expenses paid for the most part, but I always found a way to save at least $100. I would just set it aside right when I got paid, and I wouldn't touch it, forget about it, and then I'd have that other money that I would use for all my other expenses and spending, etc. But find a way to save at least a little bit of your money, and that's really, really basic stuff there. The next thing you should do is look at all of your debts. I know there's a big debate whether I should pay down my debt, whether I should invest. What I tell people is a general principle: do what makes sense. If you have a lot of debt and it's really crushing you, find a way to pay that off. Use that excess money. You still want to save some, but whatever you're not saving, ruthlessly cut out the rest of your expenses in your life, live very frugally, and pay down your debts. Obviously, it's easier said than done, but if you make a decent income, this should really be pretty easy to do. Save money, pay down your debts, and then the third thing you want to do with your savings or with your money, once you have a decent amount of money saved up, usually a couple of months of expenses saved up, you're going to want to start investing your money. So this is like one of the big debates in personal finance too, whether I should have all of my debts paid off or I should start investing. Like Dave Ramsey says, you should have like all of your debts paid off. I think that's a good idea in a sense, but that can make sense for certain people. But what I tell people is very basic. Just do what makes sense and do what works for you. If you have a ton of debt and you need to pay some of that off first before you start investing, by all means go for it. But do you need to pay down every cent of your debt before you start investing? Not necessarily. So once you have those three things, you're saving your money, you're investing some of it, you're paying down your debts, so you get to the point of having really hardly any debt, is kind of what you want there. Or really any bad debt, like credit cards or car loans, stuff like that. Having debt for real estate's a different story, but really those are the basic things, and as far as your financial habits go. The other two last things I like to talk about when I talk about this first stage of really building that positive foundation for financial freedom are a little bit extra here. One is reading. So you want to start reading and consuming material about achieving financial independence, about achieving financial freedom. Learn how to save and invest, and really learn how to build those positive habits. I'm not saying you have to read all the time, but you want to start to incorporate that as part of your life and really understand how money works, how finance works. And it's a really important topic. Obviously, you have to have money to live. So start incorporating some reading, not necessarily every day, but start incorporating some reading, a few times a week, and learn how money works. And then after reading, the next really important step in building that foundation is setting goals. So you need to set financial goals, even if they're really small to start off with. So if you have a financial goal, right, for the year, hey, I want to pay down 2 of my credit cards and save up, $5,000. That's a great financial goal, especially if you're just starting off. And every year these goals should get progressively more and more challenging, right? So now you're not competing against anyone, you're not comparing your lifestyle to anybody, you're just trying to meet your goals for the year, right? So I'm trying to pay off my debts, I'm trying to save $20,000, I'm trying to start my investment portfolio, whatever the case is, try to make progress every year. So just to recap the foundational states, there's really 5 things that you need to focus on doing consistently and really make these a part of your life. 1 is saving your money, investing, paying down debts, reading, and then goal setting. If you incorporate these 5 things into your life, the rest is really gonna fall into place. I mean, these are really the most foundational and hardest habits to build for most people. So if you're doing these 5 things consistently, regardless if you accomplish anything else, you're gonna be ahead of like 90 to 95% of the population already. So moving on to the next stage is finding your investment vehicle. I'll just use myself as an example. My preferred investment vehicle for generating this passive income or this investment income is rental properties and real estate. I'm going to talk about specifically real estate today because I think it's a lot easier to generate passive income and generate investment income or rental income from real estate versus the stock market or other avenues. And the reason for that is because real estate, you have a lot more control over your investment and you're able to really focus on getting that cash flow every month from your rental properties. Since this is geared for beginners, I've made several videos about starting in real estate investing, how to get started in real estate investing. But just to sum it up, the main idea is that you purchase properties and you can use mortgages, you can use debt. This is where I'm a big fan of using some leverage, and you want to make sure that your monthly rental income exceeds all of your expenses on your properties. So that includes your property taxes, your insurance, your mortgage, your principal and interest, any allocation for repairs. And there's actually a lot of things that go into managing a property, but you want to make sure that your monthly income from that is surpassing your expenses. So basically how I calculate my passive income or my rental income from a property is what the property is making minus like all the expenses. And that includes a wide variety of things. You don't really want to skimp on it. And it's gonna take a while actually. It's taken me basically 6 or 7 years to really build a profile of rental properties and get it to the point where it's able to meet my monthly expenses. So it's gonna take a lot of work, but I think real estate is one of the quickest ways you can really do this and actually build your wealth. So an easy way to get started in real estate investing is just buy your first house. For example, when I was a young officer, I used my VA loan to purchase a home. But even if you're not active duty or a veteran, you could use your FHA loan, you could use a conventional loan for a primary residence. And basically what I did, I bought my first house and then I moved from that, turned that into a rental property. Then I bought a second house, and you can kind of start kicking off your real estate portfolio just like that. It's a very easy thing to do. Obviously it's gonna take a couple of years most likely, but that's a great way to get started with rental property investing. So to sum up the second step, really the second step is just picking your investment vehicle. For me, it was real estate. I think most people will probably be real estate, but I have heard of people achieving financial independence through the stock market and just having like a really large stock portfolio, which is awesome. So there's multiple ways to do this. So I say do whatever makes sense to you. Having the foundation, now you have your investment vehicle. The third step is starting a business or a side hustle, because you're never really going to make enough money working as an employee unless you're really like high level employee without having your own small business. And this doesn't necessarily have to mean you're owning a chain of Subways or a huge franchise or anything like that. This is just a way for you to make money either on the side or as your primary work without limits on your income, right? Because when you work for someone, all of your income is going to be limited, and they're really going to try to pay you as little as possible, right? So when I was in the Army, I made a decent salary, but I could never really do anything to earn more money in the Army. It's not like I could sell more or I could just do a better job. There's really no way for me to make more than what my salary was. And a lot of people are in that position. So it's going to be really, really tough to achieve financial freedom if you can't find another source of income, even if it's earned income right now. If you're starting with nothing, or if you're really struggling to find a business or something that you could do, I would say start a side hustle. For example, for me, I was an Army officer, but I started becoming a real estate agent while I was in the Army. And that helped me get a lot of extra income because I already had a salary. I was saving money from my salary. So that covered all of my living expenses and pretty much everything I needed. And anything that I made extra on that side business or that side hustle, whatever you want to call it, that was going straight into my investments. I could use that money to buy rental properties, save for down payments, pay down some properties, whatever I really needed to do to help supercharge my investments. This is a critical step because even if you buy rental properties, that's awesome. I think that's great, but you really need to start a business or a side hustle or find another way to use that earned income and convert it into rental properties or passive income. So to sum up step 3, it's find a side hustle, start a side hustle, or start a business. Obviously, the end goal, I think, would be for you to do something that you really enjoy so this business becomes your primary work and you could actually even quit your job. And all of this is in pursuit of financial freedom, right? So all that money that you can make from your side hustle, your side business, my case happened to be real estate, so I'm a real estate agent and a real estate investor, so it lined up very nice, but you could really do anything. And all that money that you make in your side business, funnel almost 100% of that into your investments, right? You really got to feed those investments, especially if you want to achieve financial freedom. And it's going to take a lot of work. So I've been doing my business for about 5 years now, and pretty much 90% of what I make from the business goes right into investing. So that's really the kind of mindset and the attitude that you need to have, because I think a harsh truth that a lot of people are not going to tell you in the financial or the personal finance world is that you really need to earn a lot of money. So really the only way to do that is to start a side business or a side hustle. And the ultimate goal is for that to become your main business. So now you're on to stage 4. You have great financial habits, you're investing in real estate, you have a small business or a side hustle, you're using all that money to invest in your assets, into your real estate. Now what you really need to do is have an overarching plan to achieve financial freedom, right? So you have now all the tools necessary. So really what you need to do is look at all of your numbers, all of your assets, and start making your goals, right? For me, I had a certain number of properties and I made a certain level of income. So I was able to look at basically every property I own and actually broke it down to a spreadsheet. And I just looked at the numbers, the cold hard numbers, and said, what do I need to do to achieve even a basic level of financial independence or financial freedom? And to me, that came in the form of I need to pay down a couple of properties, or I need to buy 2 or 3 more properties with this kind of deal, with this kind of rate, with this kind of down payment and interest rate, etc. So really look at what I call your financial freedom number. So for me, it's about $4,500 a month that I can make with investment income that's covering my living expenses. And something that I like to talk about as well is what's called lifestyle creep. So your financial freedom number is really the number that is going to meet your lifestyle expenses. So once you start making a good amount of money, you don't want to start buying fancy cars, start buying huge homes, start buying things that you can't afford, because if your expenses start rising past the point of where your income is coming in from your investments, then you're no longer financially free. You're really just getting back on the rat race again. So I call this level like maintaining yourself, maintaining your financial independence, and really just knowing your numbers and what you need to stay at and what you need to do to achieve that financial independence. So those are the 4 stages right there. I like to conclude videos too with some general advice and some things that I've picked up over the years that I think could help a lot of people avoid potential roadblocks or pitfalls. And one is, I've probably said this 4 times throughout this video, but do what makes sense. You really want to do what makes sense. You don't want to listen to other people because other people always have ideas of what they think you should do. You know, there'll be haters out there, they'll think you're not doing the right thing. Especially in the personal finance world, everyone likes to think they're like a genius and they know exactly what the right path is to take, and if you deviate from that at all, you're not doing the right thing. Like I said, I tell people just do what makes sense. If you're not into real estate and you prefer investing in stocks and you're like a wizard in stocks, do that. If you're a really highly paid employee and like, I don't need to start a side hustle, then just do that. Just do your job really well and get promotions and, you know, earn a lot of money doing that. There's really no right answer. There's a bunch of right answers and there's a bunch of wrong answers. So just do what makes sense. Along with doing what makes sense is don't listen to gurus. You can get so much free advice from YouTube or just books, and you don't need to pay anyone to tell you what to do. There's just so much free advice out there, and this stuff is really not that complex once you start to get a basic idea and a basic understanding of how all this works. It's really just forming good habits and then taking action. There's really no specific advice or guidance that you can get to help you succeed. So my last parting advice would be just to start doing these positive financial habits, and eventually you'll get where you want to be. Thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions about real estate or real estate investing or achieving financial freedom, please feel free to reach out anytime, and please like and subscribe.